Dragons. The word conjures up images of fire-breathing monsters, winged beasts soaring through the sky, and tales of valiant knights and damsels in distress. They are creatures of myth and legend, found in stories told throughout history and across cultures. But what if dragons are more than just fantasy? What if these creatures, often relegated to the realm of imagination, actually have roots in ancient texts, including the Bible? The Bible, a book filled with historical accounts, poetry, and profound spiritual teachings, might seem like an unlikely place to find mention of dragons. Yet within its pages, we encounter creatures that bear a striking resemblance to these legendary beasts. These biblical dragons, often described with awe-inspiring imagery, challenge our understanding of the natural world and raise intriguing questions about the line between myth and reality. Were these biblical dragons simply symbolic representations of evil and chaos, or could they have been based on real creatures that roamed the earth in ancient times? This essay delves into the fascinating world of dragons in the Bible, exploring their presence, significance, and the enduring mystery surrounding their true nature. By examining key biblical passages, such as the Leviathan in the book of Job and the dragon in the book of Isaiah, we can gain a deeper understanding of how these creatures were perceived by ancient peoples and what they might represent within the context of biblical theology. Furthermore, by comparing biblical dragons to dragon myths from other cultures, we can explore the universal fascination with these creatures and the different meanings they have held throughout human history. One of the most compelling and vividly described creatures in the Bible is the Leviathan, a behemoth of the deep that embodies both power and mystery. Found in the book of Job, the Leviathan is presented as a creature of immense size and strength, inspiring both awe and terror in those who encounter it. While not explicitly identified as a dragon, the Leviathan's description aligns with many characteristics associated with these legendary beasts. Job chapter 41 verses 18 to 21 paints a picture of a creature that seems to defy the natural world. His sneezings flash forth light, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lights, sparks of fire shoot out. Smoke goes out of his nostrils, as from a boiling pot and burning rushes. This evocative language suggests a creature of immense power, capable of unleashing forces that seem almost supernatural. The Leviathan's fiery breath, a hallmark of dragons in many cultures, is particularly intriguing. Some scholars interpret this as a literal description of a fire-breathing creature, while others view it as poetic exaggeration, highlighting the creature's terrifying presence and the danger it represents. Regardless of the interpretation, the Leviathan's fiery breath adds to its mystique and reinforces its association with dragons. The Leviathan's size and strength are also emphasized throughout the book of Job. Its scales are said to be impenetrable, its limbs like bars of iron, and its heart like a stone, as described in Job chapter 41, verses 15 to 17. This description suggests a creature that is virtually invincible, capable of withstanding any attack. The Leviathan's immense power and resilience make it a formidable opponent even for God himself. In Job chapter 41, verses 33 to 34, God boasts about the Leviathan's dominance over other creatures. On earth there is not its like, which is made without fear. It beholds every high thing. It is king over all the children of pride. This passage highlights the Leviathan's position at the top of the food chain, a creature that strikes fear into the hearts of all who cross its path. The Leviathan is not the only dragon-like figure found within the pages of the Bible. The book of Isaiah also speaks of a dragon, this time explicitly named as such, dwelling in the depths of the sea. Isaiah chapter 27 verse 1 reads, "In that day the Lord with his severe sword, great and strong, will punish Leviathan the fleeing serpent, Leviathan that twisted serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea." This passage introduces the dragon as a creature associated with chaos and destruction, a force that must be subdued by God's power. The imagery of the sea, often symbolic of the unknown and the untamed, reinforces the dragon's connection to primal forces that threaten order and stability. The dragon, lurking in the depths, represents the dangers that lie hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be unleashed upon the world. This association of dragons with chaos and destruction is a common theme in many ancient cultures. In Mesopotamian mythology, for example, the dragon Tiamat embodies primordial chaos, a force that must be defeated by the god Marduk to establish order in the universe. Similarly, in the Bible, the dragon represents a threat to God's creation and a symbol of the forces that oppose his will. The dragon's defeat in Isaiah is symbolic of God's ultimate victory over evil and the restoration of harmony to his creation. The image of God slaying the dragon with his severe sword emphasizes his power and his role as protector and defender of his people. The Bible also links dragons to spiritual warfare, with these creatures often representing Satan or demonic forces. In the book of Revelation, for example, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns appears, attempting to devour a woman and her child. This dragon is explicitly identified as Satan, that serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. This passage highlights the dragon's role as a deceiver and a bringer of chaos, seeking to thwart God's plan and lead humanity astray. The presence of dragon-like creatures in the Bible raises intriguing questions about whether these creatures were based on real animals or purely symbolic representations. While the Bible does not provide definitive answers, it offers vivid descriptions that could be interpreted in different ways. One possibility is that the biblical dragons were based on real animals, perhaps exaggerated and mythologized over time. Ancient people, lacking our modern understanding of the natural world, may have encountered creatures that were unfamiliar and awe-inspiring, leading them to embellish their descriptions and imbue these animals with supernatural qualities. For example, the Leviathan's description could be based on encounters with whales, giant squid, or other large sea creatures. The fire-breathing could be an exaggeration of the spray from a whale's blowhole, or the bioluminescent properties of some marine animals. Similarly, the dragon in Isaiah could be inspired by crocodiles, large serpents, or other reptiles that were perceived as dangerous and powerful. However, it is also possible that the biblical dragons were primarily symbolic representations of evil, chaos, and the forces that oppose God. The Bible frequently uses animals and other imagery to convey spiritual truths, and dragons, with their long history in mythology and folklore, would have been readily understood as symbols of power, danger, and the unknown. The dragon's defeat in Isaiah, for example, could be interpreted as a metaphor for the triumph of good over evil, rather than a literal battle with a fire-breathing monster. Similarly, the association of dragons with Satan in Revelation highlights their role as symbols of temptation, deception, and the spiritual forces that seek to undermine God's plan. Ultimately, the question of whether biblical dragons were real animals or symbolic creatures remains open to interpretation. The Bible does not provide definitive answers, leaving room for both possibilities. Whether based on real encounters or purely symbolic creations, these dragon-like figures serve as powerful reminders of the mysteries of the natural world, the enduring struggle between good and evil, and the ultimate victory of God over the forces of chaos and destruction.